Uh, Close to impossible. Marty, felt we were ready to start getting out there, and we'd go out at night together, scouring the city everywhere, walking into clubs, doing this together, and asking for shows. And it was like, that's what we eventually had to just do, like lofts or an art gallery. That's the only venue open, until occasionally somebody would open something. Until I forget when it happened. Well, we finally got into CBGBs somehow. We did a show. Hilly came up to us after the thing, wanted to do something with us. It never went anywhere, and we were sort of like not invited to, not asked to be there anymore. Excuse me. Max's opened up, and that was a dead end for us. We got a show at Max's. Marty faked collapsing in some kind of narcotic coma. Of course, he's totally straight, but he was so hungry, I think, that he sat there. Whoever the guy was that was booking shows, and the guy kept saying no, 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 and finally Marty just kind of fell over, and the guy said okay. So he gave us a show there, but that was the end of that. We had a show maybe on Monday or Tuesday, and we were officially banned again. And even though the show was sanctioned by Ivan Karpf, the dealer, said, "Oh, these guys are good guys. They're all right. They're Suicide. So what? They're artists, man. They're cool." But it didn't matter. I forget the name of the guy who booked the show. He eventually became some big shot at some record label. So occasionally we get a thing. Occasionally, it was very rare. But then, like I say, after us, occasional show, but after us, suddenly there was the Ramones. And I knew as soon as there was the Ramones, maybe it'll make it easier for us for Suicide. I hate to be realistic about this thing. It wasn't all about that. It was about the fact that it was great that they were there and doing what they were doing, because it was phenomenal. But it also opened up the world for us. Little did I realize we were still not ready for it. And then television claims to have been the first one to play CBGBs, which is bullshit. Suicide played a show there before. And then there was, I think, the Dolls came around about the same time. Maybe a little bit before, or maybe right at the same time. And then Wayne, well, now Jane County, came into the scene. Well, even though, to me, they were all doing rock and roll. Even television. Television had a weird thing, too. Television had sort of was it Little Johnny Jewel was the name of the thing? Johnny Jewel. They had sort of a main street. It's a long story. They were going to England to sign it to a label, and they had the two owners of the label had a fight on the scene, in the airplane. They never quite made it out in a big way, but. So they had a thing. Tom is still playing it here and there, Tom Verlaine, which is great. Yes, a weird thing. Again, look to Sonic Youth and other bands, Green Day or whatever. It's all out of that thing. So they had a weird thing. Marty and I saw, I think, might have been the very first show they did in a loft. A lot of these artists played lofts. They couldn't get venues. There were no venues. And Marty and I, we liked the band, but we kept saying it's still rock and roll. To Marty and I was always, Suicide was always doing something different. Eventually, I got to tell you a story, what's his name? Ben Vaughn. He was an old Alan Vega fan. He loved rockabilly. And when I did my first rockabilly thing, he was like, wow. Right now he's doing music for TV. He's making a lot of money, which is what a lot of guys do. They make real money. They get out of rock and roll, they do TV music. But he said something really weird about Suicide. It never occurred to me. He said, even all the fucking punk bands hate fucking Suicide. So therefore, Suicide had to be the ultimate punk band, because everybody is hating Suicide. That's true. It never occurred to me. Well, later on, you hear Debbie Harry goes down, wow, and everybody right now is going, wow. But then it was like, Debbie didn't, even in those days. She used to come over to me all the time and talk about her music. She was really cool, Debbie. I really liked her. And, but basically, they all hated us, because they were all basically doing guitar, drums, when you come down to it. As good as it was, including the Velvets. But again, Lou had a weird thing, Maureen had a weird thing. They just had that little bit of weirdness. You know who used to like us? Willie DeVille used to like us a lot too, I remember. He used to really love us. For some reason, and he was just doing straight. But I liked him. I liked his music. He was like this Southern boy or something. He's like doing voodoo music. Something weird about his stuff. But basically, television was still rock and roll. It was still different, but